Good morning, trade pros. Hope you're well. It's Wednesday, July 24th, 2019. It's George Papazoff. And today is another installment of our morning market update. I think this is like session number 500 and something ridiculous. We just crossed a pretty ridiculous threshold. I hope you guys appreciate it. We're here for you every morning without fail for the most part. There are times when travel, internet connections disrupt the flow, but for the most part, we're here on a daily basis. All right, so in today's morning market update, it's also laundry day, so I have a wrinkled semi-white t-shirt. Got to do some laundry today after the trading day. All right, so let's kick it off. Robert Mueller at the moment up there is testifying, and he's being asked on his investigation on Trump. All right. He said that the report did not exonerate President Trump. It did not conclude that Trump did not commit obstruction of justice either. He's sticking to his end conclusion in that report. And I think interesting things could come out of this testimony. Watch and listen for that because he's on at the moment. And at any moment's notice, the market could take note of something and react. All right. In other news, in the tech sector, shares of Facebook, Apple, Amazon, and Google were hit hard yesterday, down all over 1%. As the news followed that official probe and investigation by the Department of Justice, which was in the interest of what Attorney General Williams wanted to happen, William Barr's interest, and he launched the probe, so it's official. Now, this is interesting because there was a previous probe. People are saying, well, this is old news. It's not old news. It's new news because that's why it's news. The word new is in news. It goes beyond what the previous FTC probe was looking at. All right, that was a much lower level investigation and review. This is formal now. The Department of Justice is targeting the tech industry as a whole. So, that's not going to help investors start to worry about these kind of things. What does that mean for the future? What kind of changes will there be? There's just uncertainty. You don't know what that uncertainty is, but the certainty is that there is uncertainty, and that impacts the market by instilling fear and unknown into it, and the results in selling. All right, so this is really interesting thing and to see how it plays out. It's a massive probe, and I think the target of all this is actually not Facebook. I think it's Amazon. All right, they've taken exception. Mark, that's really creepy. They've taken exception to Amazon's practices where they compete with, they'll let somebody on their platform analyze their data and then create their own private label product based on the data they've collected. All right, and that's what I think they take exception to. But it's no different than being in a Walmart. All right, Walmart does the same thing. They let people come in on the shelf. And I haven't been to Walmart in ages, but they put stuff on the shelf and then they put their own product beside it, right? Their own label, their own brand. And then eventually they get into that business and sell their own products. So that's just retail. That's the reality of the industry. I don't think it's new for any retail company to experience that. All right, but Amazon's doing it more predatory, it appears. So the investigation is focused on. In addition to that, Facebook is looking to pay up to a $5 billion fine to the FTC for prior settlement. All right, so NASDAQ futures are lower this morning on all that news. And today's quarterly report is coming out from Facebook after the closing bell as well. It's a massive one. So we're going to start to get some volatility due to earnings. We're in the middle of the week. All right, speaking of earnings, here's some pre-market earning reports. Caterpillar reports 283 on an earnings per share basis versus 312. Lower earnings and guidance is pushing the company down this morning pre-market. Boeing, BA, or Boeing, Q2 revenues plunge big time. This report shocked me. I had to ask the Trade the News analyst if it was real or if they made a typo. Minus $5.82 per share, earnings per share. So it's not earnings, it's loss per share, LPS, versus a minus 0.56 expected. So massive miss. Revenue came in 15.8 billion versus 18 billion expected. All right, we knew that they were going to have trouble in their quarterly reports, but this is worse than people had imagined, right? $1 billion in cash burn in the quarter means negative cash flow. All right, and all these issues around the 737 Max are causing a loss of confidence in Boeing as a whole, not just the one plane. It's a spillover effect, and it totally makes sense. All right, UPS reported second quarter earnings of 196 per share versus 193 expected. 18 billion revenue on 17.9 expectation. So it's a beat. It's a slight beat on the UPS front. Domestic package revenue is at $11.2 billion, or up 7.7% year over year. That's really good. And they cite an increase in demand for next day services driven by e-commerce shippers, aka Amazon. All right, in today's markets, Japan's up 0.4%. And I just found out Victoria really wants to go to Japan. So now's a good time to go. The economy's up 410. Well, the stock market's up. I don't know, but the economy depends on how much money you're going to spend in Japan. Hong Kong's up 0.2%. China's up 0.8%. India's down 0.4%. In Europe at midday, London's down 0.8. Paris is down 0.5%. Frankfurt's flat. And actually, pretty interesting that Frankfurt's flat because I got to turn my phone so I always give you the exact numbers. We had some flash manufacturing data that just missed pretty horrendously. 43.1 out of Germany versus 45.1 expected. Big miss there. French flash services missed this morning, 52.2 versus 52.7. And then German flash services come in line with expectations. So that manufacturing miss is not good. All right, it pushed European markets lower. You have to know that. In the United States, Dow, S&P, and NASDAQ are all down. NASDAQ down the most because of the tech sector. And for today, the market stats are as follows. Dow Jones got 38.1% positive expectancy ratio. S&P 47.6, NASDAQ 47.6. So all three of them are below 50, which means there could be some bearish sentiment on a statistical probability basis. I'll tell you one thing, statistics and trading don't really help that much. So just take that and just say, hey, you know what? It's been bearish last 30 years cumulatively in this day. Let me use that to see if there's some momentum to confirm my bias. All right. Crude oil up 0.4%. Gold's up 0.4. Bitcoin's down 2.1, now trading into the 9,700s. News this morning. It's an awesome day. I woke up excited. 10 a.m. we have new home sales. 10:30 we have not natural gas, crude oil inventories, and that's a huge report. Last week we did really good with it. The week before we did amazing. And in 1 hour of one day, you could make your full weekly income. And I don't care what job you do, right? You could be the CEO of JP Morgan. If you have more money, you scale up and you could make the same or more. Huge opportunity on crude oil. Today at 10:30, we traded in a room together live. 11:30, we have 20 billion 2-year note auction, and then 1 p.m. 41 billion 5-year note auction. And this whole day, we're going to have some testimony out of Robert Mueller, so we expect to see that. But I'm seeing a bearish day for today. So I say sell the early strength and keep selling rallies until that momentum shifts. How do you know? Market structure has to break. And if you don't know what that is or how to use it, that's what our course is for. We teach you everything about market structure, how to apply it. So those are where those principles come into effect. All right, I'm going to turn around and open up the trading room. We're going to go to the S&P 500 first, have a look at what's going on, set up some trading levels, and get ready for the day. Then I'll bring over Victorio Markey to cover NASDAQ and the Dow, and then Boxy will cover oil. All right, let's kick it off, and let's rock.